Look at the southern peninsula of India from space, and you will see a fortress. A towering, impenetrable wall of green and granite stretching for over 1,600 kilometers along the western coast. This is the Western Ghats. It is older than the Himalayas. It dictates the weather, controls the water supply, and has historically shielded the deep south from countless invasions. For millions of years, this mountain range has acted as an unyielding barrier. It catches the furious moisture of the Arabian Sea, creating a lush, tropical paradise on its western slopes, while leaving the lands to its east starved of that same life-giving rain. It is a geographical dictator, deciding which lands will flourish and which will turn to dust. But right near the southern tip of this colossal wall, there is a mistake. A massive, inexplicable rupture. For 30 kilometers, the towering peaks suddenly vanish, giving way to a flat, low-lying corridor. The mountains simply stop, and then start again. This is the Palakkad Gap. It is a geological anomaly that defies the landscape. But this mistake is not just a quirk of topography. It is a terrestrial wind tunnel. It is an ancient highway of empires. This single break in the mountains is the secret architect of one of the richest, most industrially aggressive regions in all of South Asia. The wealth of Western Tamil Nadu, a land of ancient gold, booming textile empires, and endless energy, owes its entire existence to this exact geographical void. Today, we are going to look at the invisible forces that shape human civilization. We are going to explore how a crack in the earth built a modern empire. To understand the sheer magnitude of what the Palakkad Gap does, you first have to understand the brutal reality of the land around it. The state of Tamil Nadu sits entirely in the rain shadow of the Western Ghats. When the southwest monsoon rolls in from the Arabian Sea, pregnant with millions of tons of water, it slams into the western side of the mountains. The clouds are forced upward. They condense, they break, and they dump nearly all their water on the state of Kerala. By the time those winds cross the peaks and descend into Tamil Nadu, they have been bled dry. Without a way for that moisture to penetrate the barrier, much of Tamil Nadu should theoretically be a barren, scorching landscape. But the Kongu Nadu region, the western belt of Tamil Nadu centered around cities like Coimbatore and Tiruppur, is a glaring, highly profitable exception. And the reason why is entirely structural. To find out why this gap exists, we have to rewind the clock. Not by a few centuries, but by over 100 million years. Long before humans, before mammals, the landmass that is now India was fused together with Madagascar, Antarctica, and Australia in the supercontinent of Gondwana. Around 120 million years ago, this colossal landmass began to tear itself apart. The separation was unimaginably violent. As India ripped away from Madagascar to begin its long, isolated drift across the ocean toward Asia, the Earth's crust groaned under the tectonic stress. The immense continental pulling created a massive shear zone, a region of deep, structural weakness in the rock. Geologists call this the Palakkad shear zone. When the Western Ghats were eventually thrust upward by volcanic activity and tectonic collisions, this specific section of the crust was too shattered, too degraded to rise with the rest of the mountain range. Millions of years of river erosion did the rest. Ancient rivers scoured this weak rock away, grinding it down to sea level. The Palakkad Gap is not just a valley. It is a primordial scar. It is the lingering trauma of India's violent birth, perfectly preserved in the topography of the south. Fast forward to the modern era. The mountains are set. The gap is open. Now, we add the final ingredient, the atmosphere. Every year, the southwest monsoon unleashes its fury on the Indian subcontinent. The Western Ghats stand like a shield, taking the brunt of the storm. But when this wall of wind and water hits the Palakkad Gap, the physics of the atmosphere fundamentally change. It acts exactly like the nozzle of a hose. The massive, continent-spanning pressure of the monsoon is suddenly squeezed into a 30-kilometer-wide corridor. The wind is funneled. It compresses. It accelerates to blistering speeds, creating a localized weather phenomenon that exists nowhere else in the region. This funnel effect forcefully injects the cool, moisture-laden air of the Arabian Sea straight through the mountains and deep into the scorched plains of western Tamil Nadu. It completely bypasses the rain shadow. The results are staggering. While the rest of Tamil Nadu bakes in suffocating summer heat, the city of Coimbatore experiences a sudden, dramatic plunge in temperature. A cool, humid mist blankets the region. It is an atmospheric miracle that turns an otherwise arid zone into a fertile basin. Because of this funnel, the Western Belt receives exactly what it needs to survive: moderate rainfall, high humidity, and a temperate climate. But this geographical lottery ticket didn't just create good farming. It created a global industrial powerhouse. That unique, humid climate funneled in by the gap? It is the exact atmospheric condition required for spinning cotton. Cotton threads snap in dry heat. They thrive in humidity. Because the Palakkad Gap brought the damp coastal air inland, Coimbatore and Tiruppur transformed into the Manchester of South India. Today, this region is a multi-billion-dollar textile empire, exporting garments to every corner of the globe. But the Gap had one more gift to give. Remember those highly compressed, blistering winds shooting through the corridor? In the late 20th century, engineers realized that the Palakkad Gap wasn't just an air conditioner, it was an engine. By placing massive wind turbines directly in the path of this geological wind tunnel, they tapped into an inexhaustible supply of kinetic energy. The Mapandal and surrounding wind farms, fueled by these geographic funnel winds, are among the largest on the planet. The Gap literally powers the state. We like to think of human civilization as a triumph of our own will. We build the cities, we invent the machines, we forge the trade routes. But the truth is far more humbling. Our empires are built on the permission of the earth.